What if I told you that the power to create miracles is already inside you? Yes, I know, it sounds like something out of a fantasy novel. The truth is, once you learn how to control your thoughts, you will be capable of achieving things you never thought possible. I'm not talking about magic. Real, tangible change. Right here, right now. Have you ever felt like your mind has a life of its own? Like it's pulling you in 1,000 different directions, bouncing from one worry to the next, creating this never-ending loop of what-ifs. Trust me, you're not alone. We've all been there. You lie awake at night thinking about something you said at work, and suddenly your mind starts crafting an entire scenario of disaster that spirals out of control. It's like your brain is on autopilot, and you're just along for the ride. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine once called me in a panic because he couldn't stop replaying an argument he had with his boss. For days, his mind kept churning out worst-case scenarios. He'd convinced himself that he was going to get fired, that his career was over, that his life was spiraling. But you know what? None of it was real. It was all just a movie playing in his head, directed by his runaway thoughts. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you've had similar experiences where your mind runs wild and you feel like you're stuck in a trap of overthinking. And that's the kicker, isn't it? The mind can be a powerful tool, but it can also be your greatest enemy. The mind has the ability to cause so much stress, to make us feel so overwhelmed. Then imagine what could happen if we learned to control it. What kind of peace could we achieve? What kind of miracles could we create in our lives if we stopped letting our thoughts control us? As Buddha said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. So, what are you becoming? Now let's take a step back. What if, instead of letting your thoughts drag you around, you could simply watch them? I know it sounds strange, but think of it like watching a movie. When you're watching a movie, you're not in it. You're just the viewer, sitting in your chair, watching the story unfold. Have you ever just sat back and watched your thoughts like that? Without getting pulled into the story, without letting yourself get swept away by the emotions? This is where the magic begins. Observation is the first step toward control. Without awareness, there is no change. You can't fix a problem you don't know exists, right? By simply observing your mind, you're creating a little bit of distance between you and your thoughts. You begin to realize that you're not your thoughts. You're the one watching them. And in that space, that tiny gap of awareness, is where real transformation happens. But wait, if we're not our thoughts, then who are we? Who is this I that feels so real? This is where things get interesting. You see, the ego, the part of us that constantly tries to define who we are, thrives on past experiences and future worries. It's always looking for something to latch onto, something to say, this is me. But here's the thing, the ego is an illusion. It's not who you really are. Ryan Holiday said it best. Ego is the enemy. It's the enemy because it convinces us that we are our thoughts, our memories, our fears, our desires. But what if I told you that the real you is something much deeper than that? When you start observing your thoughts and breaking free from the ego's grip, you begin to tap into something far more profound. And when you tap into that deeper part of yourself, that's when the real miracles start to happen. So, the question is, what happens when we break free from this ego and tap into that deeper space of awareness? Where do we go from here? What kind of power, what kind of potential is waiting for us just beneath the surface? Here's the crazy thing. Awareness is your superpower, and most of us don't even realize it. We go through life reacting to everything around us, our thoughts, our emotions, our environment, without ever pausing to just notice. But awareness is the key that unlocks the door to everything you want to change, everything you want to create, and everything you want to be. Let me share a quick story. I once knew someone who was constantly stressed out. Work deadlines, family issues, financial worries. You name it, she was dealing with it. One day, in the middle of her usual rush, she had a moment of clarity. It was just a brief pause in the chaos, but in that moment she became aware of how tense she was, how fast her thoughts were racing. And in that tiny slice of awareness, she did something miraculous. She took a deep breath, and everything shifted. She didn't solve all her problems in that instant, but she realized that she didn't have to be consumed by them either. That one breath, that one moment of awareness was all it took to begin turning things around. And that's the power of awareness. As Lao Tzu said, when you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Think about that for a second. If awareness is this powerful, why don't we harness it more often? Why do we let our thoughts run wild, unchecked, when the solution is right there inside of us? The truth is, we live in a world of constant sensory overload. Every day, we're bombarded by social media updates, breaking news, texts, emails, and a never-ending stream of distractions. It's no wonder our minds are always running, constantly pulled in a million directions at once, and it feels like we can never just stop. But let me ask you this. What if we could filter out all that noise? What if we could quiet the chaos and just focus on what really matters? Imagine your mind as a glass of water, and every distraction, every unnecessary thought is like a handful of dirt thrown into the water. Over time, the water becomes so cloudy that you can't even see through it. But if you let the dirt settle, if you stop stirring the glass, the water becomes clear again. The same with your mind. Letting go of distractions doesn't mean ignoring reality or living in a bubble. It means choosing what to focus on, allowing your mind to become clear so you can see what really matters and focus your energy on creating that. When we let go of the distractions and noise, we open up space for clarity and creativity. We can focus on what we truly want in life, instead of constantly reacting to the endless stream of demands thrown at us. And when we focus on what really matters, when we let the dirt settle, we start to realize just how powerful we really are. And here's where it gets truly magical. What if your mind wasn't just a tool for you, but a gateway to something far bigger than yourself? What if, by calming your mind and letting go of all that mental chatter, you could actually tune into a deeper level of consciousness? A level where miracles become possible. Think of it like this. Your mind is like a radio. Most of the time, we're tuned into static, constantly switching stations, picking up bits of noise here and there. But when you learn to tune your mind to the right frequency, suddenly the static clears, and you're connected to something greater. You're no longer just thinking, creating. You're accessing a vast realm of intelligence that exists beyond thought. As Eckhart Tolle said, there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought. And once you tap into this unified consciousness, you begin to realize that the boundaries you once believed in, between you and others, between you and the universe, are illusion. You become part of a larger, creative force that flows through everything. So what happens when you access this consciousness? You're no longer confined by your past or limited by your fears. You start creating miracles in your life because you're no longer trying to force things to happen. Instead, you're working in harmony with the natural flow of the universe. And that's where the real magic begins. So here's the big secret. If you want to create miracles, you have to let go. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, right? How do you control your thoughts by letting go of them? Isn't control about grabbing hold, about steering things exactly where you want them to go? That's what we've always been told. Here's the truth. Real control comes from letting go of attachment. It's not about clinging to your thoughts or trying to wrestle them into submission. It's about allowing them to flow, watching them come and go like clouds drifting across the sky without being dragged along for the ride. Think about it this way. When you hold on tightly to something, whether it's a thought, worry, or even a dream, you create resistance. You trap yourself in a loop of obsession and fear. But when you let go of that attachment, when you trust in the natural flow of your mind and the universe, that's when true freedom emerges. It's in that space of non-attachment. Miracles happen because you're no longer forcing things. You're allowing life to unfold in a way that's in harmony with your deepest intentions. Now let me tell you a story about the power of the present moment. There's a story about a famous artist. Let's call him Pablo. He once painted an incredible piece in just a matter of minutes, right in front of an audience. Someone in the crowd asked, "How did you create something so magnificent so quickly?" Pablo smiled and said, "Didn't take me minutes. It took me years." You see, Pablo wasn't just focused on the brushstrokes in that moment. He was fully immersed in the present, drawing on years of experience. He wasn't stuck in the past, worrying about previous mistakes, nor was he anxious about how the painting would be received in the future. He was simply there, completely engaged in the now, allowing his creative power to flow freely. Eckhart Tolle once said, "The past has no power over the present moment." And that's a challenge I want to pose to you. If the past and future are just constructs of the mind, what would happen if you focused all your energy on right now? Think about it. When you're fully present, you're not weighed down by regrets or anxieties. You're in the purest state of creation, and that's when extraordinary things can happen. You'd be amazed at how powerful you are when you're no longer divided between past and future. You'd be surprised at how much you can accomplish when you're truly here, right now, in the moment. And here's the beautiful part. When you're present, when you're free from attachment, miracles don't just happen. You become the miracle. You're no longer at the mercy of your thoughts, your emotions, or your circumstances. You become a co-creator with the universe, shaping your reality with each thought, each action, each breath. Every moment becomes a powerful tool for change. A moment where you can manifest the life you've always dreamed of. Think about that for a second. Once you've mastered your mind, once you've learned to let go and live in the present, you're no longer chasing miracles, but chasing you. This is where the real magic lies. Every thought you have, every intention you set, starts to align with the flow of the universe. You're not fighting against the current, you're moving with it in perfect harmony. And that's where the true transformation happens. Though, I want to leave you with this. Start small. Just observe your thoughts. Notice how they come and go without getting attached. Practice being present, even if it's just for a few moments each day. Slowly but surely, you'll begin to see the power you hold. And when you do, when you truly tap into that power, you'll realize that the miracles you've been waiting for were inside you all along. And with that said, power is yours. Thanks for watching, and until next time, go create your miracles.